for being with me this beautiful Tuesday. It's really cool in Vermont. I mean, I had my sweater on outside, and inside I just got warmed up just enough to take it off, but kind of leave it draped on. It is very chilly. It's like in the 50s. And it's this time of the year when usually it's hot this time of year, but when it does start to get chilly around this time of year, you know, towards the fall, I do start getting the cakes of suet out more for the birds, and put them in the little cages and give them a little bit more food. And I got a bag of food for the critters too. You know, the little chipmunks and the little squirrels, to because they start really packing away all of their food at this time of year. So with that, I'm getting my coffee, and I want to start off with you. I want to read an article about the Bobolink. But first, I wanted to share with you, for those of you who love birds, I wanted to share this with you. I'm going to have to use my magnifying glass to read these. Look, these birds, this is the tui from New Zealand. This is a set of cork. I guess they're painted. You know what? I think they're prints actually, but they're of they're really old. I mean, you can tell by looking at this whole set. So this is the tui, for those of you who are interested, from New Zealand. These are fantail. Oh, I guess they're all from New Zealand. Okay, fantail. This was a buy that I got at the thrift shop, but check it out. Those are the fantail. Are they just adorable? Isn't that beautiful artwork? And we're going to read about the Bobolink in a few minutes. So this is the kiwi. I thought this was really interesting bird. We'll have to look that one up. I don't even know if that one exists today. These were made these are old. This is the Kia. Looks like a type of parrot to me. And that's New Zealand. This is the bellbird. It's the bellbird. I hope you're all doing well today, and getting ready for winter. You know, this is the time that the boots and everything starts going on sale. Paddleback, New Zealand. I get mine at the thrift shop. So this is a paddleback. Isn't that gorgeous? Okay, so that was the set I wanted to share with you, because it's old. It's all the birds, I guess, the primary birds of New Zealand. So let's go over to the table. And I'm so happy I can say let's go over to the table, because now I have a table to go over to. So we'll go over to the table. And I'm going to read to you the article that was out this morning on the Bobolink in Vermont. So, and see if you can see the picture. I'll show you the picture of it, because they do have a nice picture of it. And we'll put the camera in front here, and then we can kind of flip it back and forth. Wait 1 second, sorry about that. Okay, so the Bobolink, this is what it looks like. Oh, here it is. Have any of you ever seen, let me get the light there. Have any of you ever seen a Bobolink? So let's just kind of look at it closely before we start reading the article. If you look at the head, okay, you're going to see all black first. I know that you're able to distinguish, but the only reason I say it out loud is some people really do. It helps them to remember when they're hearing it and they have a visual. So it's like half of its head is black and then a beautiful, beautiful white. And then look at the wings are black and white also. So the head is all black, the tail is fanned a little bit, and that is all black. So it's just absolutely a lovely. So up here, we're going to start the article. So this article is by Vermont Digger, which a lot of you are probably familiar with that newspaper. It's written by Lindsay Papachon, I think is how you say. And the title is Bobolink Birds Are in Decline. Vermont fields are key to changing that. I thought it was really important to get this on here today because this was just written August 16th. Okay, so just a few days ago, 2025, or published. So I wanted to tell you there's many birds that are endangered or on a vulnerable status. And this is one of the reasons why I really do take seriously feeding them every day and trying to accommodate all different types of birds because they need the help right now. The Bobolink project pays owners of fields, often farmers, to conduct bird-friendly practices. I love that. I love that whole concept. See, when the community comes together, see what can happen. The birds get time and habitat to nest, while the landowners get some compensation for letting them do so. And it gets focused. It helps the landowners to also focus, I believe, too. So, New Haven. So, I believe this is the, yeah. Sorry, I didn't know if that was a continuation of the article. I'm like, yeah, it should be. Hyla Howe trudged through the high grass. She scanned the ground and took note. Red clover, sedge. It's not sage, it says sedge. And canary reed. Each plant said something about whether the field would be a good spot for bobolinks. Suddenly came a wave of R2D2 chirps as 40 or more the birds were flushed from their positions in the grass, swirling through the air, singing. This is amazing, Howe said. The birds looked like dots dancing overhead. The fledglings were easy to spot in their clumsier little flight patterns with the binoculars. The adult males were clear in their distinctive black and white plumage. The adult females sporting brown feathers and yellow breasts. You know, I know in Williston, I had worked really hard to attract bobolinks, and I got one over there for a little while. After we're going to look up what their habitat is in a moment. They said fields, yes. All the fields in the other place that I lived were replaced with buildings. It's so sad. You know what? It really is, especially when you can't afford to live in the buildings. After a few transects of the field, it was time to go back to the landowner to tell them the good news. The birds had successfully nested and it was safe to mow. That's a day in the life of Howe, hired this year by the first outreach coordinator for the Bobolink project, an effort run by Mass Audubon, Vermont, and New Hampshire Audubon. She works for the Massachusetts outfit specifically. Grassland birds, like the bobolink, are declining faster than any other group of bird in New England. In the last 50 years, over 75% of the species have seen population losses. Listen to that, people. That's a lot. And like I said, just in the little section I was over in Williston, Vermont, for the last 10 years, all the fields disappeared. They were replaced with buildings. So yes, you can see. I'm just going to read that little bit again. Grassland birds, alike the bobolink, are declining faster than any other group of birds in New England. In the last 50 years, over 75% of the species have seen population losses. Some of the worst hit are bobolinks. Have you ever heard of a bobolink song? We're going to look it up in a minute. It's gorgeous. Some of the worst hit are bobolinks and eastern meadowlarks, 2 of 10 species of grassland birds in Vermont. They build their nests on the ground, which makes them vulnerable to haying and mowing. But that's not what's getting them, okay? It's the buildings is what's getting them. Construction. The Bobolink project pays the owners of the fields, often farmers, to conduct or pay for bird-friendly management practices. The birds get time and habitat to nest while the landowners get some compensation for letting them do so. The money to pay participating landowners, this is in Vermont. So if you are in Vermont, you don't have to own hundreds of acres of farmland. I'm sure if you have a field outside your door, which many, many Vermonters do, maybe you can participate in this. But the money to pay participating landowners comes from private donations. You don't think of wildlife as an agricultural product until you remove native prairie. Then you kind of have to then you kind of have to think about wildlife as an agricultural product, said Howe. Essentially, the landowners are raising grassland birds. That's what they're doing. That's what I think my little community here with my beautiful neighbors, we're all very conscientious of feeding the birds. There's 3 of us specifically. And the reason I say 3 is like right outside our door, we have a nice little area where we can really, put the bird feeders up, put the bird food out. I mean, we do. And we do. We take advantage of it and we feed the birds. Now, on Howe's early morning visit to New Haven, landowner Steve Shores was thrilled to hear about the successful nests. I am glad you're seeing the birds in these fields, Shores said. After a catch-up about the farm, life, and its changes, Howe and Shores said goodbye until next year when she'll come back to check on the field again. Every current or prospective piece of land in the project needs to be surveyed early. To be part of the effort, farmers must alter their haying practices. So let me just say this really quickly. If you notice, the birds, like, you just need to give them the space, right? You just need to monitor it and not like hay it or, put up a new house or, like that. So let's go back here. So to be part of the effort, farmers must alter their haying practices. That's done by either delaying the first cut of the season, so there's no disturbance in the field until July 15th. A lot of farmers wait till that time. I know, because I had a very close friend for a very long time, and his whole family were farmers, and they delayed. A lot of times maybe the weather or this and that, so that's totally acceptable. Or delaying the second cut. No disturbance in the field between May 20th and July 24th. The delays allow enough time for grassland birds to nest safely. The birds need enough space as well as enough cover to protect their hatchlings until they are able to fly. To get the population estimates, scientists have been surveying fields, which includes analyzing vegetation in counting female birds to estimate the number of nests in the area using a formula created by Alan Strong, a University of Vermont professor who directs the school's wildlife and fishery biology program. So as many of you know, the University of Vermont is involved in a lot of conservation projects. Okay, and if you want to be involved, and I do too, I really do. I mean, but I will call every now and then if I have a question about how to do something correctly to help the wildlife, and you can do the same. I mean, here in Vermont, they're very receptive, whether you're calling the state of Vermont or UVM or the Audubon, over in Waitsfield, the Bird Museum, whoever you call and ask questions, they help you. They do help you. I know because I've called. The biggest driver of grassland bird declines has been changes in land use. The first major land use transformation affecting grassland bird populations in Vermont today was the demise of the sheep farming starting in the 19th century. Vermont's sheep boom started in 1811 and lasted until the middle of the century. By 1840, there were over 1 million sheep in the state, requiring enormous amount of pasture. 200 years later, the landscape of Vermont is nearly 80% forest. Many of the sheep farms were left fallow and had reforested since. Okay, so let me just add to that a little bit. Some of you might remember, so we're in 2025 right now. So about 30 years ago, maybe 25, 30 years ago, the Vermont farmers, we can remember this, right? They were put in a really difficult situation financially, and a lot of the family farms needed to sell. That was huge. Okay, that was absolutely huge. And that was another factor that led to a lot of these farms having to end up ending up foresting. That's what happened. The fields grew up, the trees grew up. Many of the sheep farms were left to fallow and have reforested since. The dairy farms that came in after the sheep craze required less open land and themselves and have declined since. I'd say there's room for farming. Don't you think that? Let me know what you think on that. I'm really curious. I would love to know what you think about that. Do you think there is room for incentive programs for us Vermonters to begin farming again? Now, if you don't have your own house and you are in a rent, how might that work? Might there be opportunity for those who love animals or love agriculture to be not necessarily gifted, but gifted would be nice, but to have access to a land that they can farm, that they can grow vegetation? What do you think about that? Let me know. When farms go out of business and no one's around to maintain the fields, the shrubs, the tree seedlings start to take over. That's just a natural part of the ecosystem. As trees re-emerge in disused land, there were less and less grasslands where birds, such as the bobolink, could build their nests. The second land use factor causing grassland bird decline is the intensified management of fields. Fields are being cut earlier than they used to. And I gotta tell you, I have seen, this is what I've seen, we'll get back to that in a moment. Let me know if you have noticed this, but I have noticed people cutting and cutting and cutting the grass. I mean, before it even really grows an inch or two, they're back out cutting. I mean, you gotta let the grass grow a little bit, okay? And let wildlife get some, enjoy the habitat here. So, but yeah, I totally agree with this. Fields are being cut. They're talking about fields. I'm talking about grass, but you understand what I'm saying. Fields are being cut earlier than they used to, for more frequently than they used to, Strong said. Bobolinks and meadowlarks don't really have a chance. I mean, really, the meadowlarks need the swampy area. More than 95% of the eastern meadowlarks have disappeared in New England, according to Vermont Center for Eco Studies. Look, let's read that again, people. Look. More than 95% of the eastern meadowlarks have disappeared in New England, according to the Vermont Center of Eco Studies. And it's now a threatened species. Bobolink populations have dropped 60 to 75% continent-wide. That's a lot. The bobolinks have dropped 60 to 75%. There are fields I'm seeing now with fewer and fewer bobolinks, said Margaret Fowle, senior conservationist at the Vermont Audubon. The Mass Audubon hired Howe to manage the Bobolink project, do more targeted outreach to farmers. So, if you know a farmer out there, you're in Vermont, you come up to Vermont because you're visiting your family or you're just going through, or you stay at a B&B and you notice they have a lot of, they have a nice little field out there, talk to them about this. Talk to them about, hey, do you know about the program where you can get paid to have a field and manage it so the bobolinks can reproduce? So the Mass Audubon hired Howe to manage the Bobolink project, to do more targeted outreach to farmers and provide more opportunities for education and assistance. The landowners engaging in Bobolink project are excited to help conserve the birds while also getting some money for their participation. Of course, that's exciting. That's a great opportunity nowadays, don't you think? Let me know what you think about this. They pay me not to mow, and I don't mow anyway, so why not get a little money and save the birds? You're doing something good here, said Shores and the New Haven farmer. He was contacted by the project to consider entering the field into conservation. So they contacted him. So here's the eggs. Here's some eggs. Let's see what they are. Marilyn Marks, a participant who lives down the road from Shores, said she wishes that the state would provide landowners a tax credit for maintaining their fields for conservation. That would be wonderful, wouldn't it? That would a wonderful incentive program. Expanding a current credit system that cuts rates for the land deemed for agricultural use. The effort is not without drawbacks. Delayed cutting of fields could allow invasive plant species to seed. According to invasives such as poison parsnip, bedstraw, and spotted knapweed have been moving into the grasslands. But you know what? Let me just say this before we go on. I'm going to get the name of this guy. There is an expert, and I do believe he's in Vermont. He has this ecosystem that is beyond phenomenal in his backyard. It's phenomenal. I was listening to the documentary. I'll have to look it up again. But he has all of these natural vegetations growing that just seriously take care of themselves and cancel out some of the ones that you do not want. He's absolutely amazing. So I'll look him up. So, but there are natural ways, is what I'm saying, to cancel out the weeds that you don't want. So fields abandoned and left fallow will over time become meadows and then forests in Vermont. It's a common misconception that fields should be left completely alone, said Howe. Kevin Towland, staff biologist of Vermont Center for Eco Studies, sees it as a catch-22. Can't cut too much because it will destroy the nests, he said. Otherwise, if you let the invasive seed, they can take over. Well, I'm going to say this, Kevin. If you cut in moderation and are mindful about the timing of the cut, I think it works out. I mean, I might be wrong. How, as the outreach coordinator responsible for the surveying the fields, has been spending the season so far meeting with the farmers and the landowners and checking the viability of their fields for nests. Viability of the fields is checked by a few different measures. When walking through the fields, Howe takes note of vegetation, management practices, and looks out for birds. I would say this is just being a little bit more mindful. Do you agree with me? Do you agree on that? So I'm very curious to know your thoughts on this. Because I think this is an absolutely amazing project, Project Bobolink. The vegetation is important to pay attention to since it can reveal habitat quality. For example, the overabundance of sedges indicates that I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but indicates that the field may be too wet for bobolinks to nest on the ground. And if the grass is not dense enough, it puts the bird nest at risk for predation. So I just want to add this too. I know I'm not an expert on this, but I'm just going to say, I'm just using common sense that partly what's going on, why there has to be so much management and mindfulness, is there's less and less. There's less land to be working with. There's less fields to be working with. There's an incredible amount of construction that is going on. And so I truly do believe that's a factor. Okay, so Hal thinks that Hal thinks the grasslands, get that over there, systems in a similar way to forests with canopies, understories and overstories. The arrangement of cover needs to be right for the bobolinks and their hatchlings to succeed. It's like an interesting puzzle, she said. Oh, and that's the end of it. Okay, let's take a look at the bobolink. This is their eggs, in case you run across them again, or run across them. This is one of the bobolinks. I think that's, looks like a younger one there. Yeah, see, over here, you see right here? I don't know if that's the male or female, but let's look up right here. So, but right here, you see right here, the bobolink. Okay, so to remember, let's see if we can get the sound, because they are amazing in sound. Well, we'll go right to a YouTube. This is YouTube American Bird Conservancy. sorry. Let's listen to that again for those of you just joining. What we're doing is we just read an article on the Bobolink in Vermont by the Vermont Digger. The Bobolink is on decline. So it didn't say it's on the endangered list, but it's on decline. Well, they said 75%. And it's gone down in numbers by about 60 to 75%. And we'll listen one more time. It's the most, in my view, this is the most beautiful. It's seriously just gorgeous. Okay, so if you hear that sound, especially near a field, that's the bobolink. Okay, everyone, so thank you so much for being with me this morning. I hope that you enjoyed the sound. I hope that you, I'll put it again while I'm talking. I hope you enjoyed the information on the bobolink being in decline and learning about the Bobolink project in Vermont. If you're able to participate in that, no one's paying me to say this. I just say from my heart, I wish I could, but if you can, maybe think about it, give them a call. And they do pay, so there is monetary gain in the project for you. I'm going to mention it to some people that I know who do have land and see if they're interested and just point them in the right direction. So with that, you have an absolutely beautiful day. I send you love and light.